What is up, YouTube? HPJ here. Sorry there's no music for this session of the podcast, but it's time for HPJ Podcast Session 11. So, woo, Session 11, yay! And it's so crazy because I'm pre-recording this before Friday because, oh my god, why is there so much stuff going on and it's only a Tuesday? Should someone please help me? So if you're new to the channel, hello everyone, I'm Harpie Player Joe. I'm a content creator for YouTube, mainly YouTube, but I do like my other social media stuff. And right now, I am returning to my podcast for another session of HPJ Podcast. I actually want to come up with a better name than HPJ Podcast, and I would say HMJ's Podcast too, but it's a lot to really just fathom. And I've been working and stuff too, so it's been just crazy. Why are we doing a podcast so early in the day? So early in the week. I forgot that September 9th is a major milestone of things for a lot of companies today. Why is that so? Well, let's start off with all the birthdays that we're going to be celebrating. And I know some people say they're not really birthdays, they're anniversaries. These things aren't real. Fuck you. I can say they're real because these things have been a major influence to me into my life. So why not talk about them? First off, happy birthday to Spyro the Dragon, now reaching 27 years old. Is that crazy? 27. Then we got a milestone for 30 for the PlayStation. That's right, the Sony PlayStation, y'all, has been released for 30 years. That means that system was out in 1995. Celebrating with that, of course, is the great Crash Bandicoot, also reading 30 years. I cannot believe Crash Bandicoot has been out for 30 years. That's crazy. Yes, that's right. The first platformer mascot for the Sony PlayStation is now 30 years old. It's crazy though because nowhere have I seen Naughty Dog acknowledge Crash nor Sony. I know Sony has acknowledged Crash Bandicoot in terms of, well, they've acknowledged their 30 years, but I have not seen them acknowledge Crash Bandicoot, which is crazy. But then again, I found that like 12 other games were also released that same day, so I kind of understand why they didn't. But it's your first mascot platformer, why not celebrate his 30 years? And strangely enough, I don't know if Naughty Dog did, but I'm sure they probably did, because Naughty Dog was the original creators of Crash Bandicoot, and they created Crash, Crash 2, Crash 3, and CTR, and I believe even some of the devs that worked on those games did help out with the Insane Trilogy. Not as much as Vicarious Visions themselves did, but I know there was a lot of talks about what was going on with the Insane Trilogy. Also to add to that was those who helped work on CTR with Biznok. I think it's Biznok. In their development of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. And God, that's such a beautiful game. Please go play it if you have not already. And it sucks because it's not on Steam, and I know there's a lot of issues behind it because thank you, Activision. If you're not hurting women, you're hurting games. So yeah, that is the thing. Then we're not finished yet because there's a certain hedgehog who is celebrating his anniversary as well. Sonic Adventure has now hit 27 years old as well. Released September 9th of 1999 is the release of the critically acclaimed Sonic Adventure. So open your hearts because it's going to be a rush. As well as the release of the Sega Dreamcast, the last major console for Sega. It's crazy that Sega Dreamcast on its opening day not only released one of Sonic's biggest hits to the series, but it was also its US release as well. I have to make it a point too because while Crash and Spyro were released in their homelands, Sonic wasn't released in his homelands on this day. Actually, I believe Sonic Adventure came out a year prior to in Japan, and they were still working on Sonic Adventure Sonic Adventure 1 was already released in Japan about a year later, 1998. But now it was released in the U.S. in 1999, um, because of course back then games took a year or so to be released internationally because they had to do all the translation, anything that could not get them changed for a different rating and whatnot. And trust me, I want to take all the time to talk about each respective franchise that I mentioned. So, um, on top of that too, there's been a lot of stuff that was coming out today. The AirPod 3 has been announced, or the AirPod 5. I think it's the AirPod 3. Yeah, the AirPods 3. This is the ones that, just like the AirPod 2s, they had the little thing that can stick in your ear, but not the one that sits on the side. Yeah, that just came out. I seen the designs for it. It looks gorgeous. Um, Looks a lot different than what the regular AirPod Pro 3. I'm sorry, yeah, that's right. I have to get that correct. AirPod Pro 3, because there's AirPod 1, AirPod 2, AirPod Pros 2. Then there's AirPod Pros 3, which is coming out this year. And then there was the AirPod 4s. Now, the AirPod 4s are the ones that don't have the little attachment to them, but they have the noise cancellation, but you have to pay more for the noise cancellation, while the regular version of it was just the regular version. I know it's a lot that goes into AirPods, and a lot of people are saying, wait, you have a Samsung, why do you have AirPods? Because they're good. I like AirPods. Don't judge me. There's more things to judge in this world than me wanting to run AirPods on my Samsung. Anyway, there's also talks about the iPhone 17 and the iPhone 17 Air, the iPhone 17 Pro, and I'm just looking like, you know what? Like the iPhone girlies fight. There's also some news about Samsung and the next update for One UI. One UI 8 is going to be coming out very shortly for many of us Samsung holders within the next couple of weeks. So I want to talk about in this video as well. I also wanted to talk about the news for Sonic Cross Worlds as well, because there's been some minor leaks. Nothing we've already heard about, but I'm not going to talk about anything in terms of leaks that aren't official leaks or leaks that were meant to be leaked out, because remember, we just had a beta testing. They're going to have another beta, I think, next week around the 20th or so, which is funny because I believe the game releases literally at the end of the month. If not this month, I think in October. But like I said, I'm ready for this game. Where is this game coming out? Somebody please let me know when Sonic Racing Crossworlds comes out, because I'm ready to drop the money, because I want the deluxe version. Why do I want the deluxe version? Because you get everything in it. So before we go into my Sonic tangent, let's go into the tangents for everything else. So Apple had their little Apple showcase today, talking about the iPhone 17, the next iOS update, and they're talking about the new AirPod Pros. Now, I've seen the AirPod Pros. I don't have a picture of the AirPod Pros, but apparently these AirPod Pros allow you to translate. Okay, step up that game, AirPods. Alright, translation, cool. But I like the design. They're a lot sleeker, and from what I've seen on the design, they moved one of the speakers, so it's not. They added another speaker, I believe. It looks very nice. It still looks like the regular AirPod Pros, but I believe they've added another speaker, which for towards the ear, towards the ear hole, which, okay, that's cool. Maybe moving it, but it looks very nice. It looks a lot more diagonal, which is pretty cool. They just look really cool. I'm sure they're going to probably market them at maybe like 200, 250. Probably depending on if you want the noise cancellation or not, because the last set of AirPods that they released, I have a pair of those, and they cost me about $200 something. I bought them from Best Buy. I didn't buy them from Apple, but if I do buy them from Apple, they probably would have cost more. But I would have got Apple Care and all of that. As someone who does the upper in AirPods, I just want you guys to understand. While yes, I have a Samsung and I'm a Samsung fan, I own an iPad. I own, I own, I own one, two, three pairs of AirPods. I'm not ashamed of it. I just can't do iPhones. iPhones are just not for HPJ. They're very clunky. They have so many restrictions to them. I get it for protection and privacy, but I get a lot more of that even off of my Android because you got to do so much just to get into the Android. And I love when Android does customizations. Also, if I drop it, my phone isn't going to shatter into 1,000 pieces off of one little drop. So I'm at least good there. And plus, it's so customizable. Like, Apple, what you doing? What you doing? Because I don't even have to pay for a customization lineup. I can do a customization on my phone with that. So now let's talk about it because I'm gonna let the iPhone girlies argue and gossip and fight with each other. I just want this to be known now. The iPhone 17 is it's just all right. And then I heard there was issues with the changes as well. I'm leaving that to y'all. I'm not gonna dapper in that. All I can say is this: you won't. I'm not gonna go get an iPhone. There's no need for me to have one. If anything, I'll let y'all know now. For me and my Samsung stuff, I'm going to get a new Samsung. If I get a new one, I want an Ultra. I don't care. Actually, funny enough, I was talking to a coworker of mine, and I told her I have the Samsung Galaxy A, no, the Galaxy S32 Ultra. Yes, the 20. I mean, not 32. The 20. I know I'm going numbers up. The 23 Ultra. I have that actually sitting in my Best Buy box right now, and the only reason why I have not touched it is simply just because, as much as it's the money thing. That's all it really is. But trust and believe, y'all. If I ever get the chance to get one, ladies and gentlemen, I would be rocking that with the pen and the drawing and yes, just y'all already know. I love me some Apple, and I love just the lineup of things that that is attached to it. So I'm sure many of you who know me and know me well know that I would definitely get me an S series Galaxy phone. But the only problem is that they don't have external memory, and I like external memory, which means my music will be fine, making videos would be okay. It's just all the other stuff that I have. Like I'd have to use like my cloud and I don't want to do that. I don't. But I mean, if the A series was a little better, and those who are who have the A series, those are the mid-range phones. You guys already know we had a lot of issues with the mid-range phones. So at that point, I had some issues with the mid-range phones. Many of you know I have issues with the mid-range phones. Even though I'm on a mid-range phone right now, I feel like Samsung definitely needs to step up the game with the mid-range phones. If you want the mid-range phones to be just as successful, if not at least perform well with the regular lineup, there's got to be some really cool stuff going into it. So unfortunately, yeah, there is going to be some ideas of me going to my Samsung, my Ultra series, but oh boy, the Ultra series costs a lot. I did at least find a decent one for under $700, and then I also found one on an app. And I'm very skeptical about buying stuff already used, even though they did say there's like a year warranty if there's issues with the Ultra. I don't know. I feel like it would be better to get it from Best Buy, because if I get it from Best Buy, at least I know I'll have the guarantees and the warranties and stuff. So then from there, let's talk. Since we're talking about Samsung, One UI update, One UI 8, is already being dropped on the high class end phones right now for Samsung. So the recent ones are the Folds, the S24 series, I believe some of the A series phones as well that recently came out this year are going to be the first lineup of phones to be getting the updates this month. I believe actually they start next week, if I'm not mistaken. I read some of the stuff on Threads that the next week will be the first wave of updates, if not by this weekend, for the newer phones that have released this year. Uh, if you are like me and you have a Galaxy A54 5G, the A54, the A55 are all getting their updates next month. I think starting that first week will be the A55. The A54 will get it on week 2, the week of the 13th. They've also said that by the end of November, most of the phones that have been out for at least the last 4 to 5 years will have their updates ready for One UI 8. One UI 8 looks okay. It's not any big differences between One UI 8 and One UI 7, except for a couple of the details and designs. I will be very honest with you. I was just like, oh, yay, One UI 8. Is there anything really different? A couple of things on the bars. That's it. That's really it. Everything else is, unless you're a high end phone, there's really not much to really celebrate, which sucks, but it's true. I'm just happy enough to know that the S23 Ultra, the regular S23, the 23 FE, the 24 series, and the 25, the S24 series, the S22 3 series, and I believe the S22 series are all eligible for this. But I believe by either next year or the year after, the S22 will not gain any more updates after that. So probably cutoff would be One UI 10, either One UI 10 or One UI 11. But that depends on how Samsung is. And I'm sorry, I'm not a techie, so I can't really give you that much information. But I just know from what I've calculated and what I have basically discovered and learned was, yes, a lot of the current games, a lot of the current Samsung phones, I will have to wait for majority of them to update precisely to actually obtain those updates. And then, like I said, because I have not updated my S24, my A54 5G since I got it. That was, Jesus, when did I get my I bought this off of Amazon. So that should tell you that right now. I want to say, was it the year it came out? I think it was the year after it came out. Because the A55, I believe, was already a year out. So it might have been 2020. Was it 2023? It might have been 2023. Yes, it was 2023. Because I had my surgery that same year. And then my other phone broke. Because I was leaving the hospital. I don't know if I ever talked about it. About that experience. Yeah, so after I had my surgery for my gallbladder, I was on my way. They were actually getting ready to send me home. Um, and I had my phone in my lap. The next thing I know, my phone drops. We hear a crackle, and it's the screen to my phone cracked through the case as well. I should mention that as well, through the case. And I was like, oh my God, my screen cracked. Lord Jesus, somebody help me. And the nurse apologized, and I was like, I'm lucky I have insurance. So I called, I got on the phone with the insurance, and they were like, hey, we will send you a replacement. And I think at that point, after I got the replacement, I paid the deductible and everything. I think I ended up, what did I do at that point? I think I ended up getting it was the A53 But then when the A54, I got the A54 instead. I mean, right after. So I paid the deductible for for what happened, and I remember buying the A53. It was the A53 or did I find it? No, I bought the A54 from Amazon, but I bought the A53 the year um, before that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get everything together because I know. Oh no, I bought the A54 last year when the A55 came out. But the A55 never came out in America. There we go. That's the thing. So then when they dropped the A56, I was like, wait, y'all didn't even drop the A54. I mean, A55. You dropped the A56. So yeah, that was, yeah, the Samsung girlies for the mid rangers were not happy. I was one of them because I really did want the A55. The A55 looked it really nice. It looks really, really nice. The bezels are better looking. The camera looked it flawless. But the A56 threw me off because I didn't like how the back camera looked. The design of it, where it's like this is bulky. You can't even put like a protector on it. It's just bulky. It's just really ugly. I don't like ugly. Like I don't like a bulky camera nods in the back. Like that's why I tell people like if I switch over to the Plus series, which I would switch to the Plus, um, I have to get like the bezels. I think my favorite bezels has to be the A53 because I love the bezels on the A53. The A53 bezels were the three main cameras, the small lens, the smaller lens, but it still had like the free lenses in the back, so you can like put the little protectors on it. That's the ones that I like. So yeah, if like I said, if I'm able to upgrade, that's what I'm upgrading to, and then A53 or A54, because now that the rumors are that the S50 that A54 the S23 or the S24, because now rumors have speculated that the S26 is going to be shown off before the end of the year, and just like in Samsung fashion, the S the high range phone and the mid range phone will definitely be a month apart from each other. I wouldn't be surprised by January of next year we'll see the S26, the S26 Ultra, and the S26 Pro. And then after that, we'll probably see the mid-range phone. So we'll probably see the A57. Pray that the A57 doesn't look but as ugly. They still have like the storage, which external storage and memory. They are the external storage that I love from the mid-range phones, and I like the bezels on the newer phones. I just don't like the camera look for the bezels for the cameras. They're just really ugly. I don't like that bulky thing. So, alright, we got the phones and stuff out the way. Let's talk about the anniversary. So, Crash Bandicoot is now 30 years old. And we still don't have a new game. And especially with everything that has talked about for Crash Bandicoot. Because I never talked about it on my channel. And I'm glad that I get to do my live stream, well, my podcast to talk about it. So, Crash Bandicoot initially is one of the mascot platformers for the PlayStation 1. It was developed by Naughty Dog. It was published by Sony and Universal Studios. And this was Naughty Dog. This wasn't Naughty Dog's first go around with games, but this was more so their first go around with platformers. There's a lot of history about Crash Bandicoot, so I'll just summarize it for you. Crash Bandicoot initially was codenamed Sonic's Ass Game because you didn't see like from the side or the front unless you're at the boulder chasing level, but majority of the time you were seeing the back end of Crash, not the front end. And Crash spinned and not rolled. Crash did a lot of different things that Sonic and even Mario didn't do. And funny enough, Miyamoto, when he saw Crash Bandicoot, was actually inspired by Crash Bandicoot for how beautiful the graphics looked in the game. I think that's also what inspired, which I heard from some very viable resources, that inspired the looks of Mario Sunshine and how beautiful the waters and stuff looked in that game. Which, I mean, to be fair, even through the Insane trilogy, God, Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3 definitely looked beautiful, even on the primitives that was the PlayStation 1. You can even say that for for Spyro, which Spyro's jump from the PlayStation into the modern era with designs, just, God, a lot of those levels are just gorgeous. So, what is the whole thing with Crash? Well, Crash turning 30 is a monument to the fact that also the PlayStation is turning 30. And I didn't initially own a PlayStation until way later in my life, in my years. I owned a PlayStation around the time the PlayStation 2 came out. I was getting ready to graduate out of not middle school, out of elementary. Because at that time, you went in elementary lineup, you went from 5th grade to 6th grade. And then from 6th to 8th, and then 8th, you went to 9th to 12th. So, I was very excited for my promotion, as it's officially called. And I remember my mom asking me, "What do you want for, um, what do you want me to get you for your, as a gift, from us to you for working this hard and getting, and going through the 5th grade." Because, of course, um, a lot of parents do that, even if it's like the smallest things, going from, birthdays, graduations, and stuff like that. So I have remember seeing the PlayStation 1. It was the PlayStation 1 Slim, actually. It was going for like $100, and you got that, the controllers and everything. You just didn't get the memory card. And I asked my mom for it, and she bought it for me. She bought me a PlayStation Slim. My auntie had told me she had a memory card waiting for me. But my cousin had to like move his stuff to his PlayStation 2, because the PlayStation 2 had just came out, and my mom thought I wanted a PlayStation 2, and I was like, no, I don't want a PS2. I want a PS1. I wanted to experience PlayStation 1 because Sony had said, I think I had read somewhere Sony was still producing games up until that point, and my other cousin, he had already he was playing his PlayStation. I think he got some games for his birthday, which were Crash 2 and Mega Man X 4 for the PlayStation 1. And that's how I fell in love with Crash Bandicoot, because I got to play Crash 2. And I really wanted to play Crash 2, but I ended up getting Crash 1. And then for my birthday that year, I got Crash 3. So I got 3 Crash games that year, because I got Crash 1, Crash CTR, and then Crash 3. I never got Crash 2 for the PlayStation. Did I get to play Crash 2 for the PlayStation 2, for the PlayStation 1? Yes, I did. But unfortunately, it was through emulator. But I did get to play a bit of it before my laptop at that time crashed. But that's for a different story. I did get to play Crash 1. I definitely got to feel the barbarics of it. I believe we had just made it towards the end of Island 2, so I didn't get to experience what everyone else did till I got the Insane Trilogy and got to play Crash 1 there. But it was more modified, because, they changed a lot of things for the Insane Trilogy. That's also where I got to experience Crash 2 in more depth. I have fully beaten Crash 1 100%. You can find it on my VOD channel for my Twitch archive, as well as playing through Crash 2, despite the fact I was having a lot of malfunctions with Crash 2 and Crash 1 in terms of recording. But I did manage to get everything sorted out. I just had to watch it on I had to play it on the lower settings, but it's fine. Everything for recording. And I told people, my laptop was an amalgamation of what the fuck. And I just did what I could with what I had. So then from there, I enjoyed the PlayStation era. Got to play the other games that I loved. Finally got a memory card. Was able to save it. The first official Crash game I ever 100%ed was CTR, but I didn't get all the characters. Then I did Crash 3, but I didn't unlock all the hidden levels. So I didn't get to play Hot Cocoa. I didn't get to play Agapis Rex because I didn't know at the time. And I just figured, yay, once I completed 100, and I think it was 103%, because some of the relics I did get, and I didn't know about developer times, till it's like, hey, if you go through this game again and you get the relics and stuff, then you see these developer times um, for beating it a lot faster than getting the platinum. I was like, no, I'm good. And remember, you can get the platinum times until after you've beaten the game. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Because most of them were still locked behind things, even the developer time. So I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll just get whatever golds and stuff I get. I think the only platinums I've ever gotten were Oriental Express and Midnight Run. So that tells you a lot right there. Then we move over to Spyro. Spyro 27th anniversary. I got Spyro the same year I got my PlayStation. And I got that in the actual collection, the greatest hits collection, the 3-in-1 bundle. It was Spyro 1, 2, and 3. They were in silver disc. Were they silver disc? Yeah, they were in silver disc, with the silver artwork and everything. And I got to read the manuals. There were codes actually. This is how I experienced Spyro 2. Was through the demo code on CTR. And I got to play Magma Cones, and I got to play Colossus. And I was very excited to play both of those games. And when I did, I just couldn't believe it. I experienced Spyro, and I fell in love with it. So for my birthday that year, I showed the Greatest Hits collection to my mom and dad. So this is what I want for my birthday. I think it was like 30, it was about $40 for the collection, because the games were already out. They were past their prime and everything, and this is the Greatest Hits collection. So the music and stuff was a lot different than the Greatest Hits collection. But that's why I got to experience more Stuart Copeland and his amazing feat for for Spyro. So I got to play Spyro 1. I never finished it. Spyro 2 I did. I 100%ed it. I got the Super Flame power-up. And then Spyro 3, I unfortunately couldn't complete because I was missing gems and a couple of eggs in some of the levels. But I did get to experience it. And yes, I did 100% all 3 Spyro games in the Reignited trilogy. So yay. And that was my first interaction with Insomniac as well. So, because I went from Crash and Spyro to Jack and Daxter literally about 2 years after. So, that's for a different story. And I did enjoy the games overall, and I definitely would tell you guys that yes, there was a lot going on with Spyro that I never experienced, especially considering I have played an open world game. Mario World, not Mario World, Mario 64 was more open world. In the first of the 3D video games I've ever played. And to experience Mario World the way I did, jumping into Spyro felt like jumping into home because it felt so natural. It really did. I enjoyed the jump, the platforming that it gave, the challenges that it had. Yes, some were very frustrating, but I think what made up for it was just how beautiful things looked and how the music itself played out. Shout outs to Stuart Copeland, because that man is a musical genius. And the Spyro series definitely would not be the same without him. And, oh God, when I found out he came back to help with the Reignited trilogy and how, the music from the Reignited trilogy is just so music to the ears. It's so good. Definitely go listen to it. If you have the video game for the Reignited trilogy, my best suggestion to you is listen to the original version, which they give you on the soundtrack. Which they give you to listen to. Then also, after maybe a minute or two, turn on the Reignited version. Then a minute or two after that, turn on the dynamics, turn on the acoustics and stuff, and really just get a feel of how well they did for it. I believe it was Stephen Vogt, or I think that's his name, for the Spyro trilogy. I know Stewart helped him, and then Stewart also did the music for the Reignited trilogy's opening theme. So the opening theme you have to thank for Mr. Stewart Copeland. He came back and did a reversion of that, and like I said, I definitely fell in love with the Spyro series, and I'm so grateful for just the small experiences there. Alright, we've gotten that all out the way. It is now time to open our hearts, because it's going to be a rush. Sonic Adventure. And of course, the national anthem of the Sonic franchise, the first vocal main theme, right? No, because Supersonic Racing from Sonic R. Oh, well, Venture Platformer. Okay, yeah, Venture Platforming. Because if you guys don't know the history of Sonic Adventure, there was supposed to be a game called Sonic Extreme released for the Sega Saturn, but unfortunately the game got canceled due to a couple of issues that were going on. So, because of that situation, they decided to go ahead and just disembark from it. What initially happened after that was Sonic Adventure, in which there's a lot of history behind Sonic Adventure's development, but I will have a special place for that game in my heart. I played the DX version of it, the one on the GameCube, which came out after Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which was the 10th anniversary game for the for the franchise. So here's how the timeline of it worked. Was that Sonic Adventure came out in 1990 for the US. To celebrate Sonic's 10th anniversary was the release of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. The reason why Battle came out the way it did was because Battle was the introduction to Sonic fans for the GameCube. And that also included a lot of mechanics that people had to learn and everything. And there was a lot of differences between Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and the original Sonic Adventure 2. I did own the original Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast because that was my first 3D Sonic game. And that was the first and the only time I ever played on the Dreamcast. Because, Jesus, the Dreamcast controller is a mess. Cool, but still a mess. And Sonic Adventure, from what I played on DX, is not a bad game. It has a lot of issues, but one thing I love about Sonic is Sonic games have great music. I have plenty of the Sonic Adventure series soundtrack on my phone. Yes, I do. And of course, Open Your Heart is on there. The Crush 40 original version, the version that's played on the official soundtrack, the first one, the second one, the remixes, and so on and so forth. And it's just a really good bop. It really is. And there's a lot of really good bops in it. You know, we got the first introduction to Big the Cat. You know, Amy Rose was playable in 3D outside of playing her in Sonic R. We were introduced to playing a villain at this time, you know, not in an adventure series, because for the most part, we were never really playing as Dr. Eggman in most cases, unless you found a way to hack your Dreamcast game insert here. I mean, not Dreamcast, but your Genesis, but hacking games at that point were kind of more, damn, I hope you have the money and the resources. Now, today's where most people can easily just go on Sonic Central and bam. Or I think it's Sonic Stadium and then bam, here you go. But shout out to the Sonic Hacking Contest. I can't wait for Johnny's play around with the Sonic Hacking Contest this year. But, you know, long story short, I got to experience Sonic Adventure. It's an amazing game. You can buy it on Steam and get the DX port as well. There's not really much difference from the DX port except for like the models. The models are a lot shinier. They have their more updated hand gestures, like they're the SA2 models. Some people don't like that and want the Dreamcast models and the better Dreamcast mod. I'm going to be the person to say I don't like the Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure. I don't like how it looks. I don't like how the models look. I like the DX version models better, and I like that their hands look like hands and not cufflinks stuck together. Ugh, so ugly. Um, but yeah, I did get to play it. I did get to beat all the stories, play Super Sonic. I got to listen to Open Your Heart. And the vocal themes for the games as well are really good. Was it? It doesn't matter. SA1 version, because they have to differentiate that literally for the first three main character themes. Sonic's is It Doesn't Matter. Tails is Believe in Myself. Knuckles is Unknown from ME. Then we have Amy Rose's My Sweet Passion, Big's Lazy Days in Paradise, and then the theme of E103 Gamma, which is the first character in the series that we got to play as a villain in the main staple series. Pretty much what was up with that was that I guess they wanted to make Eggman a playable character, and then someone was like, "Well, why don't we do an egg pond and give the egg, like the Eggman enemy a more just a story to it, and it's a good one as well." Oh, I'm not gonna spoil it for those who've never played Sonic Adventure, but if you ever get the chance, play Sonic Adventure. It's gonna suck. Amy and Big are not gonna be your best friends. Just gonna say that now, and I'm also gonna tell you now. Between Tails and Sonic, most of their levels are basically gonna be the same. The only difference is that there are some levels that some characters can't get into, and there's some levels that some characters can into. For the factor of it is that Sonic will have the most levels in the series, because of course the main man. Then it's Knuckles and Tails who follow him with at least with at least two levels that he does not have. No, two levels that no, it's Tails, then it's Knuckles, because Tails has that surfboard session that if you play it um, in the mission mode for the DX version to get all the emblems, or just play it in mission mode to get all the emblems on both DX and the original. They switched the models back. They switched the characters back to Sonic, so Tails doesn't even get a level of his own. I know. And then Knuckles is the introduction to treasure hunting, where you go around the level and you look for the pieces of the Master Emerald. And his radar in SA1 is still way better than the radar in SA2. There is a mod to, of course, get the SA1 radar over the SA2 radar, because, God, I hate the SA2 radar so much. Then Amy's is a chase sequence from her running around the level, getting from point A to point B to grab a balloon. Tails' levels, because I'm sorry, I forgot to not skim over Tails. Tails' base levels are basically races with him and Sonic, till his last level where you're racing against Dr. Eggman for reasons in his plot. And Tails is basically taking things to his own perspective, where he's being included and not looked at as more of the sidekick. Then, what was it? Biggs is fishing. You literally have to fish for his companion friend Froggy in each level. They do give him upgrades that kind of help you mitigate some of the issues. Does it really help? Not really. Is it fun? Depending on if you like fishing or not, because the controls have issues. And if, like a lot of people said, even if we if we get a remake, fix the controls for Amy and Big, because their controls are just all over the place. Amy is really slow going up ramp. She has a really gimped run. It's just really bad. And her whole gimmick is that she's being chased by the machine Zero. That's Dr. Eggman's machine. And throughout the levels, you're racing from point A to point B. And at point B, there's going to be a balloon that you grab onto to complete the level. But you have to avoid being captured by Eggman's robot Zero. And then E102 Gamma. Gamma is a robot created by Dr. Eggman to help him search for the Chaos Emeralds and help out with, of course, the major antagonist of the game, which is Chaos. And throughout this, you learn more about how Eggman creates his machines. And it's a pretty sad story for Gamma as well. Funny enough, because of how well Gamma himself has done, Eggman has based a lot of his future egg pawns, especially the more mechanical ones, off of Gamma. You see a lot of Gamma versions in SA2. There's a Gamma bot that appears in Sonic Battle as well. There's some references to Gamma in later games, and the E-Series itself for Eggman Robots stretches out beyond the franchise. So it's definitely a major game and a major wave of things in the game. However, it's probably one of the reasons why I say please go play SA1, because it's one of the memorable games in the series. There's also the Chow they get introduced in. Oh, I love the fucking Chow. They're so cute. The first of the Sonic mini games that many of people said, if Sonic Team was smart, please capitalize on this. So there's little creatures that are called Chow. No, they're not Chaos, even though they're spelled legitimately the same, but they sound completely different. Potato, potato. The Chow do have a major plot relevance in the main story of SA1, but in terms of SA1, where they are standing, they're part of the mini game series. They're basically the Pokemon of the Sonic franchise. You can obtain them by getting eggs. They come in all different colors, shapes, and size. Well, they all come in the same size, which is these little fairy-like creatures that have little bowls on top of their head, and they will basically, they're like little babies, and that's why people love them. A lot of people compare them to Pokemon because of how cute they are. You can raise them up, and in Sonic Adventure, you can raise them up to race each other, and you can give them little animals, the little flicky friends that you rescue. They're in this game as well, and what you do with them is that you save up to 10 of them in your inventory per character. You can go to the Chow Garden, which is the home of the Chow, and you can give them the animals to increase their stats. And once you do that, then you're able to basically have them go race. Now, one thing I'll say about SA2's version over SA1 is just that there's better opportunities of getting certain Chow. They have a lot more range of things. Their kindergarten isn't shit. And I believe the black market was more introduced in the DX version as opposed to the original. I don't know if the original did for Sonic Adventure, if it had the black market. But there were definitely a lot more changes because the black market was there, but I think it gave you more stuff than the original version gave you. Don't quote me on that. And then on top of it was just all the other additional things that you got to do in Sonic Adventure. You had hub worlds, you had the missions in the DX version. You were basically able to walk around and play as a lot of these characters. And they had level up items, which increased a lot of their abilities and unique stances on things. Sonic was able to run across a trail of rings and collect them all, and even be able to attack after such. It's called the Lightspeed Dash. It's the first of the mini moves that Sonic learns in SA1. It's a little bracelet that you give to Sonic, and he will be able to then activate doors. He'll be able to Lightspeed Dash, which is at that point spinning into a ball. And when Sonic's ready, you will release the action button, and he would go off. Now, the crazy thing is that's the more SA1 version. The SA2 version. The SA1 version was he would spin into a wall, glow of green light, and then he'd say ready, and then he would let go, and then he'd say go, and then he'd follow the trail of rings. there was an item called the Crystal Band, which cut, I believe, the wait times of things with the bracelet. And on top of that, changes had to be done so that other things could be done with SA1. But yeah, there was a lot of changes in terms of gameplay and such where, yeah, even the mightiest of cards we had to wait for. So, yeah, it's a thing. So, yeah, I definitely was just on like my SA1 binge and I wanted to tell you guys more about SA1. But it is actually getting pretty late for me. And I don't want to go any more further than I have with this video. I'm going to try to figure out my video situation. So, let me record my podcast and bring it to you guys as soon as possible. But that was it for session 11, you guys, of the HPJ Podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming and supporting the channel like you did, because I definitely did. Oh, excuse me. Enjoy it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps me out tremendously. You all can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more of my content to the channel. My socials, they're in the description box below. And you guys, I'm going to go because your boy is tired. So with that said, HPJ, signing out. Take care.